Hey, this is Lauren from Trash is for Tossers, and I'm sitting here with Meika Hollender, who I am lucky enough to get to see every single day because we work in the same office. But for you guys who don't know her yet, I wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction. So Meika is co-founder of Sustain, and can you tell me a little bit more about the company and when it started?
Sure. I started Sustain about 2 years ago. We launched, and Sustain is the first brand of all natural sexual wellness products for women. So everything from condoms to lubricants, all made free of harmful chemicals, and really our mission is to empower women to take control of their sexual health.
And who did you start this company with?
So, my dream growing up was to start a condom company with my dad. So luckily enough, I started a condom company
Every
with
girl's
my dad.
dream is to make
Right?
rubbers with your dad. Wait, yeah.
So my dad has been in the natural products business for, over 30 years, founding 7th generation, and he obviously is like the go-to guy to create a natural products brand. And he wanted to start Sustain, and he and I started talking about it and decided to give it a go.
But before you started Sustain, what were you doing?
So right before I started Sustain, I was in business school at NYU.
Woo.
Woo! And then before that, I was just working at a branding agency for a couple years. But I really wanted, I was trying to figure out if I could work at another company in sustainability and like how to have a really big impact. But I was always attracted to business, and I sort of felt like after some experience in going back to school that the best way to make a really direct impact in the way that you want to is to start your own business.
And why were you so interested in sexual health products?
So I've always been really passionate about reproductive health, and when 7th Generation, our former business, launched their organic cotton tampon line about 10 years ago, I started learning a lot more about what's in the products, especially going in our bodies, and how those can impact your reproductive health. So I've always been interested in that space. I've always been really passionate about Planned Parenthood and what they're doing, and my mom's been involved with them forever. So this was sort of just this awesome opportunity to really combine natural products with a mission around reproductive and sexual health.
So what's something about reproductive health, or specifically the industry that you're in, so condoms and things like lubricants, what's something about that industry that most people don't know?
Well, I think two things that people don't know. One really is what's in these products. So nobody's really thinking about what's in my condom or what's in my lubricant. I think more so maybe with lubricants. But most lubricants, for example, are petroleum and silicone based. They have parabens in them, glycerin, and these are actually ingredients that can really harm a woman's body and her vagina. And that's no good, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with condoms. A lot of condoms have something called nitrosamines in them, which are a known carcinogen. And it's not something manufacturers are adding to the products, but it is a chemical reaction that occurs when you're manufacturing them. So, ingredient transparency in this industry has not really happened until now. And then secondly, I think just more generally speaking, people don't really think about like how taboo sex is in this country. I obviously know it firsthand from being a young woman selling condoms, but I didn't really think about it in that way until I started doing this business. Not doing this business, but running this business,
Yes.
doing this
So
business.
many good puns.
So, and that's been really, it's been a really upsetting thing to me to realize how much women are stigmatized and shamed for being sexual, and how much then that pushes through to like the products and not talking about it and then not knowing what's in them, and it's this like positive, negative feedback loop.
Yeah. So you have right now a bunch of celebrities that are portraying really body positive messaging. Do you feel that there is a movement towards taking control of our sexual health and moving towards more transparency in the sexual health area?
Yeah, I mean, Shailene Woodley just last week was like, high school girls should be taught how to masturbate. So that's just a pretty extreme example for you. But I think,
Although I'm sure so many of them figure it out pretty quickly on their own.
But yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for women there is a stigma with masturbation.
Sure.
And so I think that, yes, I think the issues are starting to be talked about. But at the same time, you know, Planned Parenthood's funding's constantly at threat for getting cut. So I think generally we're moving forwards, although there's still a lot more work to do.
So I tend to focus on environmental issues. What are some of the environmental issues that arise when it comes to sexual health? Are there any?
Yeah, I mean, another reason that Jeffrey, my co-founder, father, condom business
Co-founder,
partner,
father figure?
wanted to start this business was because he was always really passionate about creating a net positive product. So what's a product that we absolutely need, cannot live without, that actually leaves society and the world better off with, you know, the benefits outweigh the negatives of the waste. And condoms are one of those, in our opinion, because what happens when you have a high rate of unplanned pregnancy and STDs and having to treat people, et cetera, is you have a lot of negative side effects. And when you just look at something like unplanned pregnancy, one of the big drivers of climate change is overpopulation and how many people we've put on this planet so quickly. So we feel like this is the best type of business that you could create from a sustainability standpoint. And all the negative impacts of environmentally of creating a condom are just not that high.
So what are things that could be done in the United States, specifically maybe with the FDA, to make your industry more sustainable? What could they do to make condoms and sexual health products safer for consumers?
So, you know, as I always make very clear, any condom is better than no condom. So at the end of the day, yes, we'd rather have people using fair trade latex condoms, but if you're not, it's okay too. You're still like way ahead of the rest of the crowd, I'll tell you that much. So one really big thing is actually fair trade latex. So latex is the sap of rubber trees. So just like maple syrup, you tap the tree and the sap comes out. And the rubber plantations around the world, for the most part, are pretty ugly places. There's tons of child labor, lots of pesticides being used, and nobody talks about that. And so one really big thing is, you know, switching to natural fair trade latex. And another thing is ingredients. So nitrosamines in the latex, there is a chemical you can add to the manufacturing process to prevent the nitrosamines from occurring. And it's very inexpensive to do, and so we really want to push the industry to move in that direction and remove nitrosamines.
So you're obviously really passionate about this and really knowledgeable about this. What do you hope that your personal impact on the industry and on the future of women's sexual health will be or can be?
My goal is to leave this Earth, leave this planet and help enable a society where women feel proud and confident in their sexuality versus shamed and stigmatized.
How are we gonna do that?
First, I always say just talking about it, having conversations like this, and talking about things like masturbation and making people feel like making people feel like they can talk about this stuff. Part with your partner, with your friends, with your parents, with your doctors. Most people are not talking about this stuff. And I think, especially as women, we tend to talk about the negative stuff when it comes to sex more than the positive stuff. So that's really one place to start. And another is just, you know, protecting ourselves. I mean, I think that women I know that, you know, only 21% of single women use condoms regularly. So that's almost 80% of single women are constantly putting their sexual health at risk. And I really want to change that because you don't know what the impacts are going to be of having an unplanned pregnancy or getting an STD. And talking about it's, I think, where it all starts.
Yeah, for sure. So you inspire the shit out of me. I think you're so amazing.
You inspire me. We inspire each other.
So I'll wrap it up because it's been a long day for you. But if you could leave people watching this with one thing that they could do to positively impact their personal sexual health, what would it be?
So the one thing that I really want to communicate is that your sexual health is a critical part of your overall health. So if you are eating organic food, living zero waste, working out, like making sure your mental health is in check, if you're putting your sexual health at risk, you're just putting everything at risk. And so I just hope that people start to understand that their sexual health is a critical piece in their overall wellness puzzle, as I call it. And so, you know, take your sexual health seriously. Like, it's no joke. And it's nobody's responsibility but yours.
Yeah, amazing. And don't be afraid to talk about sex.
No.
Because we all have it, and it's something that we all need to be super comfortable talking about, as Meika says. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Meika, for taking the time to talk to me. And for more videos, you can check out my YouTube page at Trash is for Tossers or head to my blog, trashesfortossers.com.